carving up of the land is America. I am very afraid for America. Based on Genesis 12:3, which I take very seriously, God blesses those who bless Israel, and he curses who curses his land. He calls it his land.
I so want America to be a sheep nation and not a goat nation. But there is that verse in the Bible that says all nations will come against Israel.
And that's really important. We really have to bring that out, because Zechariah 12 says that, yes, there's coming a day when every single nation on the face of the earth, and I think many thought 20 years ago, 30 years ago, America would never do that, never. Well, here we go. We're starting right now, and yet, ironically, the Jewish community votes overwhelmingly for Barack Obama, so it's hard to understand.
Well, that was before I think they understood really what he was going to do, because he said a lot of things in his campaign on many, many issues that were really on both sides of the issue, just depending on what group he talked to.
It's hard to know where this is all going. My hunch is where it's going is unparalleled pressure on Israel in the coming months and years. There will be pressure like she's never known before. I'm very grateful Benjamin Netanyahu is in there as prime minister, because he will try to take a stand as much as possible. But your listeners need to know that these Israeli leaders, they can't simply ignore the demands of the State Department and the White House. They simply can't. They have to bend to a certain degree. Now, Netanyahu will do the least bending of all, but he still will have to bend to some of their wishes.
Okay, tell me why.
Well, there's American aid, for one thing. It's about $3 billion a year. So there's various things that Israel just has to get from America, even some weaponry, some spare parts, the things that she just desperately needs, and she gets them from America, but for it she pays a price, and I don't necessarily mean monetarily.
Well, one last question before we wrap up our time with you, Jan, and I'm so glad that you came on the show. Are you surprised at all with Hillary Clinton's response? Because she had tremendous support from the American Jewish community as voters when she was running for president, and obviously a senator of New York, and yet she is just aligning very strongly right up with Barack Obama. This is very disturbing as well. I mean, not that I ever thought she was really staunchly supportive of Israel, but she's really gone completely over the other side.
Well, she's a hardcore leftist, and the leftists of the world are not a friend to Israel. Leftists in Congress are not a friend of Israel, though I got to qualify that and say some are, which makes this whole issue a little bit more complicated, because there certainly are some liberals in Washington who don't really want to turn their back on this country. Barack Obama is a formidable human being to come against. He's the most powerful man in the world, but right now he's doing some things in the Middle East, and that's one of my primary focuses. He's doing some things in the Middle East that's going to stir up so much tension, and it could boil over into a full-scale war in the next year or so.
Well, Jan, here in the last minute, if there were anything that you could say, if you had an audience with Barack Obama about this issue, what would you say to him, bottom line?
Well, Barack Obama doesn't have ears to hear what I would say to him, but I would say stop messing with God's covenant land and his covenant people, and I would just caution him that this country is already in such a huge mess that, let's not stir the pot up anymore, and one of the ways that you could help in the whole issue and the equation would be to be a friend to Israel. Could I just say, though, Sharon, that I have just a ton more information on my website. If anyone would like to go there, it's olivetreeviews.org. Views as in viewpoint, olivetreeviews.org. And I have so much information on topics we've talked about and similar topics that I think they would find the information there extremely interesting. And I have 5 years of radio programming posted there, too.
Thank you so much for coming on Changing Worldviews. Let's get you back on again as this situation in the Middle East, the conflict continues, but America's role is taking a different bent, as we talked about today. Jan, thank you so much.
Thank you, Sharon.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate Jan coming on. She has years of experience, obviously, on this issue, holding conferences, having some of the top names that are watching what's going on in the Middle East at her conferences and on her radio show. So I do encourage you to take a visit to her website and find out more of what she's doing. Well, we're going to take a break here, and when we come back, I'm going to play some audio clips for you that I'm going to be using at the California Eagle Forum Conference in San Diego, as they've asked me to talk about the threat of Islam. You'll hear comments by President Obama at the Ramadan dinner that he held at the White House and more. So stay with us, that when we get back from this break.
Sharon Hughes, your genuine alternative voice, bringing you commentary on the issues that matter most. If you'd like to change the world, won't you partner with us? For a donation of $15 a month, you'll receive online access to special partner-only podcasts, our monthly Best of the Best program on CD, and Sharon's monthly Saying It Like It Is letter, plus our facts, stats, and other helpful info booklet. Just go to changingworldviews.com/donation page and sign up online. Or send your first $15 donation to Changing Worldviews, P.O. Box 750624, Petaluma, California 94975-0624. Sign up today to begin receiving all these benefits now. You'll not only help us stay on the air in your area, but it's a way to let Sharon know you're standing with her.
I'm going to play some audio clips for you that I'm going to be using at the California Eagle Forum Conference in San Diego, as they've asked me to talk about the threat of Islam.
Just one part of our effort to celebrate Ramadan, and tonight's iftar is a ritual that is also being carried out this Ramadan at kitchen tables and mosques in all 50 states. Islam, as we know, is part of America. Ramadan is the month in which Muslims believe the Quran was revealed to the Prophet Muhammad, beginning with a simple word, Iqra. It is therefore a time when Muslims reflect upon the wisdom and guidance that comes with faith, and the responsibility that human beings have to one another and to God. Like many people of different faiths who've seen Ramadan through our communities and families, I know this to be a festive time, a time when families gather and meals are shared. But I also know that Ramadan is a time of intense devotion and reflection, a time when Muslims fast during the day and perform Taraweeh prayers at night, reciting and listening to the entire Quran over the course of the month. These rituals remind us of the principles that we hold in common, and Islam's role in advancing justice, progress, tolerance, and the dignity of all human beings.
We are no longer a Christian nation.
We do not consider ourselves a Christian nation.
Let me speak as clearly and as plainly as I can. America is not and never will be at war with Islam. We will convey our deep appreciation for the Islamic faith, which has done so much over the centuries to shape the world. And when the first Muslim American was recently elected to Congress, he took the oath to defend our Constitution using the same Holy Quran. It was Islam at places like Uluzar that carried the light of learning through so many centuries, paving the way for Europe's Renaissance and Enlightenment. Islamic culture has given us majestic arches and soaring spires, timeless poetry and cherished music, elegant calligraphy, and places of peaceful contemplation. Since our founding, American Muslims have enriched the United States. Islam has always been a part of America's story.
One of the points I want to make is that if you actually took the number of Muslims Americans, we'd be one of the largest Muslim countries in the world.
He did bow to the Muslim king, while he did not do it to the British Queen of England. And by bowing, he showed the world that I am subservient. I do bow down to you as a Muslim king, something no other president has done with Saudi Arabia. The Saudi king is his peer. He is not his subordinate in order to bow for him. And this is exactly what Obama did. Usually it is out of respect that someone would nod his head when bowing to royalty, and the ladies will give curtsy. But Obama went beyond what is required as a head of state and bowed to the Saudi king, and that's unacceptable. It sent the wrong symbol.
When you say it sends the wrong signal, what signal do you think it sends?
It sent a message that Islam is superior to any other master or king or president in the world, that an American president bowed to a Muslim king. It also sent a message that terrorism and jihadism is giving Islam the respect it should have on the world stage, to the point that it made an American president, for the first time in history, bow to a Muslim king.
Terror of Islam is embedded within the teaching of Islam.
Now I have, in one hand, I have the Quran, in the other hand, I have the AK-47 machine gun. I can change the world.
Islam has a plan to take over the world. They believe very strongly that they are going to create a worldwide ummah, or nation of Islam.
we're seeing Islamic societies seeking to impose a 7th century Arab worldview on everybody else.
While they all know life is better in the West, they want to destroy the West.
Islam, a religion of peace or a major threat to Western civilization?
Those who insult Islam, and that includes Salman Rushdie, to Geert Wilders, the Dutch parliamentarian who produced the film Fitna, are marked for death.
I made a movie, a short film, where I used certain verses out of certain surahs and then combined with real-time images of 9/11, of Madrid, of other most terrible things that indeed happened within the Islamic ideology.
For his boldly speaking out on Islam, Dutch Member of Parliament Geert Wilders now has multiple death threats hanging over him. He also faces so-called hate crime charges against him by his own government.
I believe it's 5 minutes to 12 in Europe. There is an enormous Islamization through mass immigration, through demography, and the so-called leaders we have in Europe are looking in the other direction. Islam is not there to assimilate. Islam does not want to integrate. Islam, at the end of the day, wants to dominate and has no respect for anything else than Islam.
Of course, there are many peaceful Muslims, and some would point to existence of moderate Islam as evidence that Muslim theology does not present an inherent danger. But is that true?
Radical Islam, I actually wonder if it's a misnomer. You talk to a moderate, and a moderate will tell you this. A moderate is a very small step away from radicalization. So I don't know. We use it as radical because it is politically correct. The question is the moderate, by his own admission, far away from becoming radical?
A common question today is Islam a religion of peace? If we look at what is done to an apostate, someone who leaves Islam, even when it is a son or a daughter, he is killed. Can Islam be a religion of peace? The reason that you cannot see my face is I am an apostate. I used to be a Muslim and I recant my faith. And in Islam, Islam calls for my death.
Radical Islam on the march. A Christian response to modern-day jihad.
Well, that's it, ladies and gentlemen. I encourage you to tune in every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday on KDIA AM 1640 at 4:30 p.m. and every Tuesday, Thursday, and Sundays for our 1-hour live stream show, which you can access by going to changingworldviews.com, listen online, or by telephone at 424-222-5360, or online, changingworldviews.com. Click on the Blog Talk Radio link, and that'll take you to our online stream show. And there's also archives there as well. So until I see you tomorrow, this is Sharon Hughes saying it like it is.
Thanks for listening to Changing Worldviews with Sharon Hughes. You can get more information on today's topic or order a CD of today's show by visiting changingworldviews.com or writing us at Changing Worldviews, P.O. Box 750624, Petaluma, California, 94975-0624. You can also contact us at talk@changingworldviews.com. That's talk@changingworldviews.com. Our program is listener-supported, and we appreciate your tax-deductible donations to help us get the truth out on the important issues Sharon addresses on the show. So until next time, remember, stay alert, stay informed. We live in a changing world.